Harvey and the Creaking. Brendam Docks is a very busy place. It's full of engines, ships and cranes. The engines work hard unloading the cargo from the ships and into the trucks. Then the engines deliver them to wherever they are needed on Sodor. Harvey loves to work at the docks whenever he can. It's one of his favourite places. Salty, the dockyard diesel, loves to tell him stories of the sea. One day, Harvey puffed into the docks with the works coach. The workmen had finished repairing the track on Edward's branch line. Harvey was glad of a rest. "Phew! I'm glad that job's done," he sighed. The workmen climbed out of the coach towards their hut. "Thank you, Harvey," they said. "Remember, if you need us, we're in the hut." And the workmen left. Then Harvey saw the fat controller talking to Salty. "Salty, there's lots of cargo to be unloaded from the ships today," he said, "so I need you to be very busy." "Aye, yes, sir," smiled Salty. Harvey wanted to help too. "Please, sir," he asked, "can I help out too?" The fat controller smiled. "Very well, Harvey," he agreed. "Salty will be very busy, so I think it would be a good idea if he had some help." Harvey was pleased. Salty was very happy too. After the fat controller left, Cranky was starting to unload the cargo. Come on, he cried. "Hurry up, I want to get started." As Cranky went to lift the cargo out of the ship, there was a strange creaking sound. Both engines were puzzled. Then Harvey looked at Cranky. He figured it out. "It's Cranky's crane arm," he said. "Cranky, I think your crane arm is creaking." This made Cranky cross. He thought Harvey was teasing him. "No, it's not," he cried. "I am fine. My crane arm is not creaking." Harvey was surprised. He was only trying to help. "It is creaking, Cranky," he called. "Maybe we should get it looked at." But Cranky wouldn't listen, and he went to work. Harvey was worried. "What shall we do, Salty?" he asked. "Leave it for now, Harvey," suggested Salty. "Maybe the creaking will go in its own time." "And what if it does come back?" asked Harvey. "Then we'll have to take a chance," said Salty. "Come on, let's get to work." Soon, Salty and Harvey were busy shunting the empty trucks from the sidings and towards Cranky. They were very busy indeed, but Harvey couldn't stop thinking about Cranky's crane arm. Harvey shunted a flatbed in front of Cranky. Cranky lowered some wood onto the flatbed. Then Harvey heard the creaking sound again. It was louder than it was before. "Cranky, we need to get your arm looked at before it gets worse," he called. Cranky did not like this at all. "Stop moaning about my crane arm," he shouted. "Now stop being silly and get back to work." Harvey was very cross. He didn't want Cranky to shout at him anymore. He decided to go and get the workmen, so he raced over to the workmen's hut. Harvey whistled as he puffed up to the workmen. They were having their lunch. They were surprised to see him. "What's the matter, Harvey?" they asked. Harvey told them all about Cranky's creaking crane arm and explained that Cranky called him silly because of it. The workmen drank down their coffee and hurried to the works coach. Then Harvey raced back to Cranky. Meanwhile, Salty was collecting cargo from Cranky. Cranky was unloading crates of tomatoes from a ship. Then Salty heard the creaking again. It was very loud. "Cranky, your winding gear is creaking again," he called. "Maybe you should let the workmen look at it." "No!" shouted Cranky. "I don't need looking at. I am fine." Then Harvey raced up with the workmen. Salty was pleased to see him. "Here we are, Cranky," smiled Harvey. "The workmen can get rid of the creaking in your winding gear now." Now Cranky was very cross. His face was red and his teeth were grinding. "Leave me alone," he shouted, "and let me get back to work." Then there was trouble. The creaking was so loud it shook Cranky's arm wildly. Suddenly the cable holding the crate snapped. "Ouch!" cried Cranky. The crates crashed in front of Salty and tomatoes flew everywhere, all over Salty, Harvey and the workmen. Luckily no one was hurt, but Cranky now looked very unhappy. Harvey looked sternly at him. "Now will you please let the workmen look at you?" he asked. Cranky sighed. "Yes," he said sadly. The workmen looked at his crane arm and came back with bad news. "The cable in your winding gear was old," they said. "You won't be able to work until we get new cable." "I'll get some new cable," suggested Salty. The workmen agreed, and Salty chugged away to the workstation. While they waited for the new cable, Harvey kept Cranky company. But Harvey was having words with him. "Why wouldn't you let me help you before?" he asked. "I hear the creaking every day," explained Cranky. "It never bothers me at all." "Why do you hear the creaking then?" asked Harvey. "I thought it was creaking because the cargo was heavy," thought Cranky. "Your cable was very old, Cranky," said Harvey. "You should have had your cable checked before you started work today." Cranky knew Harvey was right. He felt very bad. Just then they heard Salty's horn, and Salty arrived with new cable for Cranky. "Here you go, matey," smiled Salty. "Now we can get you fixed." Cranky was pleased. "Hooray!" he smiled. He then turned to Harvey. "I'm sorry I was rude to you today," he said. "That's all right," Harvey smiled. "You need to get your working gears looked at more often." Cranky knew Harvey was right again. "Come on, me hearties," tooted Salty. "We've got work to do." So while the workmen were fixing Cranky, Salty and Harvey were back shunting trucks. They were all very busy. Cranky smiled. He was glad to be being fixed. "I wished I had asked earlier to be checked," he said to Harvey. Harvey smiled. He was pleased to see Cranky was getting better. "You should stand by with the workmen more often," said Salty. "I do," said Harvey. "I'm a works engine." Everyone laughed, and even Cranky had to laugh.